Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to, I'm Ben Kogan of Reusable Solutions, and this is Zero Waste Wednesdays. Zero Waste Wednesday is a weekly Instagram. Hey, guys, can you cut it out? Get it out. I'm trying to do a show here. Hmm? Cut it out. If you were just scrolling through and you decided you popped in because you're like, what is happening over here? I have a whole bunch of hearts and arrows flying at my head. Um, if you're wondering what's happening here, I'm trying to get your attention. And if you stopped, then it worked. So I just want to tell you that we have a great show tonight. I'm going to turn this thing off. How do I turn this thing off? Where are the face things? I'm actually not sure how to turn this thing off. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. It's off. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have Chelsea Watson of Sierra Club tonight, and we also have Rebecca Prince of Plastic Free July. We've got a great show. This is Zero Waste Wednesday, is a weekly Instagram live event where I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing thought leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs in the zero waste space. So I'm going to invite them onto the show. We have Sierra Club and Plastic Free July. This is the song to let you in, let you in. This is the song to let you in, let you in. This is the song to let you in, let you in. This is the song to let you in. This is the song to let you in, let you in. This is the song to let you in. Yeah, you're here. Oh, this is the song to let you in, let you in. This is the song to let you in. Oh, both of you are here on the show. I am so glad to have you right now. So glad you're here to have you on the show. So glad to have you on the show. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Get some hearts happening over there. Well, we got two great guests over here. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I've kind of promised people when they're watching before, they give me 2 minutes to just hear me out and talk about the show. And if you guys could just quickly introduce both yourselves and say, give me like the 30-second pitch about your organization, that would be great.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? All right, cool. Hey, I'm Chelsea. This is my first Instagram Live, so I'm very excited to be here and especially excited to be here with Ben. My 30-second pitch is I'm with Sierra Club, which is a massive, I think it's the US's oldest and largest grassroots environmental organization. And we have chapters all over the country. I see some amazing chapter leaders on this call right now, and we are in the midst of an amazing organizing push right now for an infrastructure package that centers climate justice. So I'm excited to be here and talk with y'all about whatever comes up. Ben, you're muted. I can't hear you.
I actually just learned how to mute last week. I was just saying it was a bad joke, so actually I'm kind of glad I muted on that one. Yeah, really great. So let's see, Plastic Free July,
Wow,
Rebecca Prince
now I want to know
Ruiz.
what your bad joke was, but okay.
We'll have to talk about it later. Yeah, Rebecca Prince Ruiz, I'm having her come back on. I'm inviting her. She's, I think, calling from Australia, which is far away. And I just wanted to ask her, like, what time is it there? I think it's like 12 hours ahead or 12 hours behind. I feel like it's got to be like, well, for her, I think it's Thursday. I think it's, right? Isn't Australia like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
ahead of
definitely
us?
ahead. It's definitely ahead. I don't know the exact hours, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was close to 12.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, I'll give her some time to get on. Sometimes internet and Instagram can be, this is like the best and worst platform. Like, it's great to tell people about it because it tells everyone, like, on the top of your feed, this person's doing this live now. And so it's easy to get the word out, but it's like incredibly, incredibly glitchy. So Thursday morning, this is it, Zero Waste Thursday. It doesn't, in Australia, doesn't have the same nice ring to it. But anyway, I'm going to play. Oh, Rebecca, we got you back on.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thanks so much for joining. Yeah, it's like you never know with this thing, really. So anyway, I promise people like that are just tuning in, like kind of briefly to try to like let them know who's on tonight. So if you could just quickly introduce yourself and give the 30-second pitch about Plastic Free July, that'd be great.
Oh, look, thanks, Ben, and nice to meet you too, Chelsea. So I'm Rebecca Prince-Ruiz. I'm the founder of Plastic Free July, the month that engages people and businesses and organisations all around the world to make a difference in July and beyond by choosing to refuse single-use plastics. And I'm dialing in from the remote Pilbara region in Western Australia, and it's a sunny 7:30 a.m. here.
I was right. I was right about the time. So happy about that. So let's, in the Instagram world, let's get some hearts up for both Rebecca Prince Ruiz and also Chelsea. Yeah, show them some love. This is how we do it in the Instagram world. All right,
Oh,
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, there go the hearts. Yes, it's great. Okay.
I wish I could send them back, but I can't do that.
You can't. So I'm going to play a quick song for both of you, if that's okay. It's about the direction I thought the world was going in before I hosted this show and met great people like you guys, okay?
Aww.
This is called Down We Go. If you guys actually want to mute yourselves while this is happening, that'd be awesome. There's like a little, it's that little arrow, there's a little microphone, like to the bottom left over there. If you press that, that'd be great. Also, one more thing before I play the song. If you guys could just say where you're calling in from, everybody that's watching, that'd be super great because I love to hear, like, we have kind of an international crowd tonight, which is awesome. I'm like playing for the whole world right now. Here we go. This is a song called Down We Go. What's it mean to be broken? What's it mean to be whole? This way that we've chosen, what's it say about our soul? All these systems are connected. One break will start a chain. This golden hour we've elected. There's no one strong enough to challenge his brain. There's plastic mountains in the oceans. What have we done to this place? It's fatal theory put in motion. How do you fix the human race? Down and down we go. Feel this going down and down we go. Down and down we go. Feel this going down and down we go. So this is the home of the brave, from sea to dying sea. We hear the madman rave, prophet philosophy. You can hear the fortune of a king, make it cheap and sell it high. You build a bird with a broken wing, forces everyone to buy and buy and big box store, you find the best deal. Taxes, nothing of the true cost. It's heating up. It's heating up, they deny it's real. No game will cover this loss. Down and down we go. Feel it's going down and down we go. Down and down we go. Feel it's going down and down we go. Thanks, Strand. Oil gushes through these pipes, staining black these stars and stripes. Eagles falling from the sides. How long till we realize? going down and down we go. Down and down we go, till it's going down and down we go. Thank you. The hearts. This is like, it's like the silent applause. You know, someone in the comments wrote tune, and I was like, am I out of tune? But I think maybe they were saying they liked it, so I got like a little self-conscious there. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Once again, we have Chelsea Watson of the Sierra Club and Rebecca Prince Ruiz of Plastic Free July. We have a couple sponsors for the show. Without them, it would be a lot harder to do. And I'll just give a quick shout out to them. We have Brooklyn Solar Works. If you're in New York City and you want to get solar, 28% of carbon emissions is from electricity. So if you get solar panels, you can offset all that. If you get that. So that's just something to consider. They're in Brooklyn, New York, operate all over the city. And also Cup Zero, who does reusable cups for events and to-go coffee. I've always been of the mindset that like we need to have something to replace the convenience of single-use plastic, and a service that provides this that's like equally as easy, I think is a great way to make it happen. So I'm going to open this up with a question to both of you sort of regarding that. Is have either of you ever been to the end of a music festival before?
That's a no from me.
The end of a music festival?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so actually I volunteered at the Kingman Island Bluegrass Folk Festival in Washington, D.C. for a lot of summers, 'cause you get free tickets and like 2 free drinks if you volunteer. And a few times I had you want the early shift so that way you can do your shift and have a good time. But a few times I had the late shift, and I know where you're going with this, so I'll like hold. But yes, I have been, and also like been on cleanup duty at the beer station.
What's that look like?
So that's where I knew you were gonna go, because Kingman Island Bluegrass Festival. Shout out to all of you if anyone's here. I wasn't planning on giving y'all a shout out. They had reusable cups. I knew that was where you were going. They had reusable cups.
That is great. And so how did that work there?
You got a cup with your ticket.
And like, would you give the cup back to them, or would they just keep refilling your beer? And do you leave with the cup? Those are my 3 questions.
You leave with the cup. So like, it's my toothbrush cup now.
Got it. So what Cup Zero does, what I think is really great, is that like every time they take the cups with them. So they take them, they wash them, they bring them to the next festival. So that way, like, I think trying to get people to use cups, to bring their cups to the next festival is like, I just think that's too much to ask. I hate bringing it. I hate even bringing my bass to a festival and amp when I'm getting paid to do it. So I think that like asking people to bring cups is like a bit, I think that I would reduce plastic, but I think replacing it with something that's totally, they don't have to think about it would be better. But anyways, I'm working with Cup Zero to help make this happen in the United States, most of the East Coast. So if any of you guys that are watching tonight know of any music festivals or places that use lots of disposable cups, hit me up. I'm going to put a quick shout out here, the little button, I think I'm pressing it, is that you guys should follow Plastic Free July if you're just hearing about them. So press this button, click on that, and then the names come down of the other 2 people that are on here, and just click follow. So follow Sierra Club, follow Plastic Free July. They're doing some great stuff. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let them tell you a little bit about it. So I usually start with the lower person on the lower right. That's tradition here. Rebecca, that's you. So I just, I love Plastic Free July. I started doing it last year for the first time. And can you tell us how it got started?
Yeah, sure, Ben. And so Plastic Free July, this is the 11th July, Plastic Free July. It started back in 2011 after I went to a recycling facility and for the first time was confronted with seeing my waste up close and personal, along with the waste of everybody else in my suburb. And I'd been to landfills before. I knew what they were like. I had to go to the rubbish tip with my dad when I was a kid. But seeing my recycling that are put out on the curb each fortnight was really eye-opening, just seeing how much waste we produce and then starting to understand the complex energy-intensive process. And really the facility I went to was just sorting, but then into paper, plastic and metal and glass. And I started to understand for the first time that just because something's got that recycling symbol on it, the little chasing arrows around the number, it's actually not a recycling system. That's the resin identification code. It just tells us what kind of plastic it is. And when I realised the challenges around recycling, how much is downcycled, how little plastic we actually recycle, I knew I needed to do something different. So there were a small group of about 40 of us here in the remote city of Perth in Western Australia that decided we were going to try and avoid not all plastic. That would have meant giving up our phones and our cars and lots of our household goods. It was just those single-use plastics that we just use once for a few minutes or a few seconds and throw it away. So that 40 people has now grown to millions and hundreds of millions of people around the world taking part to make a difference by reducing those common single-use items like the cups we were just talking about, Ben, like the water bottles, saying no to plastics that most of us don't need, like straws, choosing to purchase food without single-use plastics, which is a real challenge. And now people take it into their workplaces. We get corporates and businesses getting involved, schools get involved, and it's around not a few people being perfect, but lots of people making small changes that together adds up to a big difference.
I'm going to address a quick question in the comments that maybe we should talk about, because this is like the always like, does one person's action matter? And before I hand that off to you, I'm going to just quickly say that I think that it all matters, and that, you know, individual action influences policy. Like they shouldn't, saying that I think individual things matter does not mean that policy doesn't matter. Like, you should definitely have EPR, extended producer responsibility, and make corporations responsible for this. But the more people that get engaged, the more that they're going to know. That's part of what Reusable Solutions does. We're trying to provide, let people know about like businesses that are doing, that are offering like the equally convenience as disposables, but as reusables. Then also encouraging people to get involved with policy, because policy and government is the people. We're the people. We need to try to work on it. I'm going to hand that question over to you. What do you think about personal change and all that, and how does that all fit into the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think personal change is really the seed and the beginning of changing our well, first of all, we've got to change by making personal change together, we start to change the culture. When we take our own bags and others see us doing it, when we ask for no bag, and with lots of people doing that, we shift the culture, and then that starts to change business and systems. And I know, you know, we've seen in our country here, we've now, over the last 10 years, every state's committed to plastic bag bans. We've got container deposit schemes, that form of extended producer responsibility for beverage containers. Our governments are starting to ban problematic single-use items that are ending up as litter in our environment. So you're right, Ben, it all matters, and it is easy to think, well, what difference can I make? But I've really seen over the last decade, as more and more people start to take change, businesses and governments are responding, not fast enough, or I'm sure most of your listeners like, but the change is happening. And we know from our research last year in Plastic Free July, people together avoided 900 million kilos of plastic waste. So yeah, we can make a real difference together.
That's like really reassuring. I think that's such a great answer. So I was really influenced by Plastic Free July because last year was the first year that I did it, and I started seeing it like in groceries, like everywhere. I think a fun story is like, I put it in my Instagram post, is that I had a ketchup emergency. We had no ketchup in the house, and we had French fries that just came to the door, delivery, and we're like, oh God, like what are we gonna do? Like, and my wife was like, she really likes ketchup. Like this was a big deal in my household, and so I'm like, well, I don't want to go to the grocery store. I can't do it. And then I went to there was like a restaurant across the street from me in New York City, and they had ketchup in glass bottles. I'm like, can I borrow this for like, I'll give it back in like 20 minutes. And they're like, no, like, yeah, you can have it. Like, you just keep it.
We don't want it back. It's a pandemic.
And so they gave it back to me, and it was great. It was just, they gave it to me, and I made like a real connection with the restaurant next door.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what the thing about single-use plastic, right? It's convenience, and it feeds our consumer lifestyle and this unthinking. And when we make this decision that we're going to try and avoid it and think of alternatives, one of the common feedbacks that we get is it actually connects people to other people in their community, because when you go searching for reusables or stuff with less packaging, you start to go to not those big box stores, but support more local stores. You might lead to learn a new skill, like, Ben, I don't know, one of your plastic-free July challenges one year might be to make your own ketchup, and you might learn from someone else in your community. So it's about sharing skills and connecting with each other, and supporting local efforts and initiatives are some of the real joys I think we get from just stepping off that mindless treadmill of consumption. I don't know, what's your take on that, Chelsea? What's been your experience?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's great to hear about this. And I have not done a plastics-free July. And as I was reading about plastic-free July, I was like, oh wow, I wonder next July, or I can keep doing it. But I really like the question. I'm glad you asked it, Ben, about individual action versus collective action, because I think with plastics, for some reason, we get really caught up in this has to be an individual action. Like with plastics, it's all about just the user, the consumer. But really, plastics, like any other environmental issue, is a systemic issue as well, and it's a societal issue as well. And so, when we talk about fossil fuels and transitioning to 100% clean energy economy, sure, we might be thinking about, oh, how can I personally reduce it? But we also have in mind, oh, we need a societal transition to 100% clean economy, and we need to have a just transition where we acknowledge that there have been burdens on some communities more than others because of this environmental impact. And it is the same with plastics. There is no reason that zero waste has to be confined just to you and yourself. It can also be that collective movement-based organizing push. And I think, you'll ask me more stuff here too, but I even want to say the environmental justice movement actually comes out of a Black community in North Carolina in the 1980s, and I'm talking about the US-based environmental justice movement, protesting a hazardous landfill in their community. And so when we talk about zero waste and even plastics free, there have been waste is something that communities have been protesting for a long time, both how it impacts some communities more than others, and then how some communities are realizing, oh, I'm on this end of the waste production. I'm actually consuming it, or I'm actually near this landfill, or I'm near the refinery. And so one thing that I'm excited to do for myself is to really bring in this plastics-free, this framing of plastics-free, not just as what can I do, which I like to do because then it makes me feel like I'm living with my values. I like to do the individual action because it makes me feel aligned with what I'm fighting for, but also to understand that this is also a systemic and societal problem as well. And by taking individual action together, we can be building a movement at the same time.
Heart. There it is. The hearts. Yeah, I feel you on that. Totally. Rebecca, so you're in Perth. That's the western part of Australia, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. One of the most remote capital cities in the world, I think, or one of the most remote cities in the world.
Oh, it's the capital?
Yeah, the capital of Western Australia.
Oh, okay. What's the capital of Eastern Australia?
Well, each state has its own capital, and then we have the Australian Capital Territory, which is where our federal government and our parliament sits in Canberra, which is one of those made-up cities for government.
Huh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'm familiar.
Oh, you are? That's cool. Have you been to Australia, Chelsea?
No, I'm just familiar with the concept of made-up cities for government. I know what you're talking about.
It's probably not the technical term for it.
I don't know. Yeah, I got it.
So did you also grow up in Perth, or did you end up like, what happened from, birth to now in 3 minutes or less?
Oh, I just wrote a book to tell that story.
Did you really?
Well, it was a story of Plastic-Free July.
Wow, congratulations.
Is it out yet? I love reading, so...
Columbia University Press published it last December. Yeah.
Cool. I'll read it.
That's called Plastic Free. It's the story of Plastic Free July and the story of change, really. So, and it does start with kind of my journey of change. I grew up and lived on a farm in the southwest of Western Australia, and for me, when we had to leave the farm when I was about 9, I think, and that was because there had been too much. It was quite a small farm and a new farm, but there'd been so much clearing in the catchment that they'd had to ban more clearing, because what was happening was that the natural salts locked in the soils were coming to the surface and being washed into the river, and the local river was going saline. And for me, that period of my life and my childhood, when I was living on this farm, we used to play in we call the forest the bush here in Australia. We'd play in the bush with my siblings and make cubbies and houses, and I really loved living there. There were 25 kids in my local school, and leaving that was a really difficult thing. I still remember that as kind of my happiest childhood memories. But it was for me the first time when I realised that our actions actually impact the environment, and what we do makes a difference. And fast forward the clock, I ended up studying science. I've got a degree. I studied botany and geography, and not really knowing what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to make a difference. And when I ended up working in local government in waste management and sustainability, doing education, we were telling people, how to recycle and how to compost, and this is where you can take your batteries. And we talked to the kids about reduce, reuse, recycle, that mantra, the waste hierarchy. Yeah, everything we're teaching them is about recycling. And then when I went to that recycling facility, and I suddenly realised it's about the system, it's about the consumption, and at an individual, the more that I take responsibility for that and reconsider what I'm accepting, what I'm using. Like you said, Chelsea, I suddenly realised that making this switch and trying to reduce firstly my plastic waste really did start to align me with my values on lots of different levels. And I think, plastic to me is the gateway into a much wider conversation of environmental issues like the climate emergency, like the injustices that we're seeing, those vulnerable communities that are most impacted by our mindless consumption, and the whole journey, across the whole supply chain from extraction, production, manufacture and disposal. And but what I love about being on this journey is that those human connections that we make, and ultimately for me, this is around leaving behind not a world without plastic, but a world without plastic waste, and living lighter in this place. I live where I live in Australia, we have the oldest continual culture in the world. The Australian Aborigines have been here for over 60,000 years, and what they have left behind is beautiful rock art, some tools, and what we're leaving behind scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's scares the hell out of me too. For Plastic Free July, is there anything like in your life? Have you feel like you've eliminated it, or does it go like in waves? Like where are you at? Where are you at in your own plastic free journey?
Oh, that's a very personal question. Look, I'm not perfect. That's for sure. I'm actually in our, as I said, in our state's northwest at the moment. Did get on a plane yesterday. In all my busy plastic-free July madness and packing, I forgot my cloth mask. Had to get a disposable mask, which came in a plastic bag at the airport. So look, I'm not perfect. I think we've probably reduced our overall waste by about 60 or 70% because it's not just the plastic waste, but because we now try and buy our veggies without plastic, we're not buying when we need one avocado, we're not buying four on a plastic tray wrapped in plastic film wrap when we actually only needed one, so three of them went to waste. So look, for me, it's a continual journey. I've got three or almost adult kids now. It's there's plastic that comes into our lives. Some things we've changed, some things just not compromising on. I think it's easier if you were just living by yourself, but it's about doing what you can and focusing on what you can do, what you can't, not what you can't. But with Plastic Free July, like everyone, I make a real extra special effort in July, and it's really nice actually to see that rubbing off, not because of nagging or maybe my family would say that, but just living by example and seeing that rubbing off onto my friends and family and now my kids as they become adults, and they're always sending me a photo of, oh, look, we've done this, or I noticed this, or I changed this, or this happened and I didn't do well here, but then I also did this. So for me, that's what it's about. It's a journey.
I think the food one is always a really interesting one because, like, sometimes I don't know what it's like in grocery stores there, but like I've actually seen like oranges like wrapped in plastic film, or even avocados in a plastic bag, and it's like it has or bananas, and it's like it has this great packaging already on it. The packaging is great. You can compost it, and then it'll turn into like healthy soil and maybe another banana tree or an orange tree later. Why, like, it's like, why mess with that? Like, it makes like no sense to me. And I know lots of other people watching this, and people I've talked to like just like lose their minds. Like when they go to a grocery store, they see like a single zucchini wrapped in plastic. It drives me nuts. But I have found some fun tips that I'm gonna share real quick. I don't props. I'm gonna bring that next time. But with like zucchini or broccoli, you can put it in a jar with water, and then it'll keep it fresh for not forever, but for much longer than it would have if you just put it in there regularly. Have either of you guys tried that with like fruits or vegetables and it keeps them fresh for like a long time?
Yeah, but it doesn't get rid of the plastic though in
No,
this
no, no. But I
situation.
mean,
You're saying
no, I mean like getting
I
them.
thought you were saying a tip for how to get, but I see.
No,
Keeping
like
it
I mean
fresh.
like yeah, getting them in bulk and then or buy them like
Oh, I see.
loose.
When you get it in bulk. Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Or a wet paper towel. Just put it. Oh, is that? But there you go. A wet paper towel that you can compost later. There you go.
Jars are
So,
fun. My fridge looks like a mini forest these days. Someone told me about this. There's this like eco group called Nate and Hilla, and also Hilla the Killa. She was on the show like maybe a couple months ago, and she's had all these great videos about like broccoli in jars and about like she's got it's about jars, like storing things in jars. I don't know, I'm just super into it.
so I have a question
Mhm.
for both of you. So I saw someone in the chat saying, like, in India we can avoid it. And one thing that I was thinking about, sort of what I was talking before about how this movement, in every fight, there are different levels of action that you can take. And so, for example, for me as a climate activist, um, I'm focusing a lot on the structural power, the systems. And yes, that means I will try to reduce my carbon footprint, but it's just one step. And I wonder if you all think in the plastics free movement or the zero waste movement, if someone, let's say, can't avoid plastics because of the community they live in, but they were maybe fighting against a plastic refinery in their community or fighting for better policy in their community, would you consider that also a way to join the plastics free or zero waste movement if it felt inaccessible on the individual level?
It's good with me. It's definitely cool with me. What about you, Rebecca?
Oh, look, absolutely. You know, where I live, yeah, I feel well, I am privileged, right, to live in a developed country. We have great education and healthcare systems here. But I'm also privileged where I live locally. We have bulk food stores, so for me, it's relatively easy to avoid many things without plastic packaging. Everyone's situation is different, and that's why our even though Plastic Free July is plastic free is in our name, we're really about doing what you can, and that looks very different in different cultures, and that this is not about shaming or blaming or being better than each other. It's just about doing what you can. We have a lot of participants actually in India, and you know, for some of them that does mean buying bottled water, but then they can make other changes and swaps. We did an online, I think it was an Instagram Live, a webinar with a group of women from India that were making reusable menstrual pads from old saris. It's about doing what you can where you are with what you've got, and whether, you know, some people are just taking action in their own lives. Others are engaging local businesses in their communities. Some people are writing those letters, becoming advocates and activists. There's a role for everyone in this. And I think the other thing that we need to keep in mind is, like, when we look at food waste, I know in the USA and Australia, 40% of all the food that we grow in our countries is wasted, and much of that happens in our homes. You don't see that level of food waste in somewhere like India. So, and when you look at how much we're using as a country in terms of our footprints and our waste production are so much higher. So I don't think we've got anything to be particularly proud about there. But I think it's, you know, it's also about learning from each other as well. So we recently did an Instagram Live with a young woman, Sahar, from Bangalore in India, and she was making her own cleaning products and sharing a lot of ideas in her community. And so I think this looks very different in different places, but we can all learn from each other about being part of the solution. There's not just one solution.
I love that.
Me too. It's like it can be fun too. It doesn't have to just be like this burden all the time of like worrying about it. Like, you can do fun things. Like, I tried to make potato chips and failed, but it was fun. I had a great time trying to do it. And
That's amazing.
because the potato chip bags aren't recyclable. Lots of things that aren't recyclable are because it's multi-layer. So it has, like, I think a layer of an aluminum or some sort of metal, and then also a layer of plastic. And they can't separate it. They can't sell it. And yeah, I think I just need to make them thicker. I think that was the problem. They were too thin, so they burnt really quickly. So yeah, that was my plastic free
I
July.
bet you somebody in the plastics free movement has made some really good potato chips before too.
They should
For sure.
They should help me out, and I need the help.
I want to see a photo of your fridge, Ben.
I'll send you one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get it when it's prime, like forest like. Sometimes, you know, depending how many vegetables I have. Wow. The founder of Plastic Free July is asking for fridge pics. I feel like I've made it.
Well, for me, it's like I learn every day. I learn from that's something that's just wonderful about this campaign when we hear, what different people around the world are doing. And by sharing ideas and sharing our efforts, like we don't need to, there are so many ideas out there already. And I think that's what Plastic Free July, our role is to share those ideas and share those solutions. Like, well, here's this great group in New York. They're helping out music festivals up and down the East Coast to reduce their plastic waste by providing these cups. And here's how they're doing it. So then participants who are in those states can talk about that to their local festival, or people in other countries can get inspired to do something the same. And I think the more we share, or the more we collaborate, then the stronger our message is, and the stronger our impact is as well. You must see that in the Sierra Club, Chelsea. I love seeing people from different groups around the country who are doing something for Plastic Free July, and it inspires others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love so much what you're sharing about an emphasis on how much we can learn from each other, like some people making their own cleaning products, and how some of the stuff is old knowledge or old wisdom that's been forgotten, based on different different societal factors that have, moved our society towards one of extraction, consumption, exploitation, as you mentioned. And then Ben, I love that you were talking about how you try to have fun with it too. And I think that's so important for keeping a movement going, is both sharing our knowledge and our experience. And I see someone said, I learned all this from my mom. My mom didn't use plastic that much. And then also just having fun with it, like trying new things. So yeah, I love what you're sharing about this as well.
Right on. Chelsea, I'm going to put the spotlight on you for a second, but the thing is, I have this chat here, and it's blocking your face. So there's a way to fix this, and you just have to leave and come back on, and that will shift Rebecca over to the left, and then you'll be on the lower right, so I can look at you without being distracted by
All the
this thing.
chats.
Yeah.
Keep the chats coming, but let me move my face. All right.
All right. I'll play. This is a song in between to do the changeover. Changeover song. This is the changeover song. Oh, I have to request her again. I think you should request yourself, Chelsea, if you're able to. Oh. Let's see if I can get you back on here. Here we go. There we go. Cool. Chelsea, come back on. All right, we got you back over here. Okay, cool.
But we lost Rebecca.
I don't know if she's coming back or not. If she comes back, then we're in the same spot as before, I think. So, let's get her back on at the end. Rebecca, if you're watching out there, come back on at the end. Let's talk a little about you and how we met. So, for those of you guys just watching tonight on the show, we have Chelsea of Sierra Club, and also Rebecca Prince Ruiz, who is in the chat over here. She's still here. She's going to come back on in a little bit, just so we can have like this layout. Instagram, you got to do better. We got to make this easier.
I know.
So
Also, if she wants to come, it's okay. Then we can still talk to each other. I don't need
yeah, if you come back on, that's cool. Let's see if we can make this happen. Plastic Free July. Actually, yeah. Oh, it's just unable to join. I don't know. Maybe she's got a problem with the connection. Whatever. We can do that later. Anyways, I want to tell everyone a quick story. Is that how I met Chelsea? And I think it's a great story. I don't know if you guys will, but I hope you do. So I read this book a long time ago called This Changes Everything. Capitalism versus the Climate, This Changes Everything by Naomi Klein. And that book talked about all these organizations, and I wanted to plug in to do something about the climate crisis, and I didn't know exactly how. Hey, what's up? Nice to have you back.
Hey, It was a data issue on my end, so all good.
So I'm telling a story about how I met Chelsea and got involved with Sierra Club. So I read this book by Naomi Klein called "This Changes Everything: Capitalism versus the Climate," and it talked about all these different organizations. And I was feeling like this climate angst. Like I wanted to do something about climate change. I didn't really know what. I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I thought maybe something would happen. Businesses would like kind of come around if I tried to like reach out to them. And you know, I didn't know what to do. I felt like I felt lost, and I wanted to try to find some way to plug in. And this book like really opened my eyes and said like, yeah, you should. More or less, Naomi Klein came to me and said you should join Sunrise Movement and Sierra Club because they were talking about. I would start hearing noise about the Green New Deal, which is essentially in a one sentence, if I'm summing it up well, is a just transition to renewable energy and by like extension the circular economy. And Sierra Club got rave reviews in that book, and I was like, well, let me reach out to Sierra Club and see what they're doing. And that's more or less how I connected with Chelsea. And last year, she was doing these lobby visits, which we should definitely talk about because it's happening again this year. Is yeah, trying to like reach out to your senators about 100% renewable energy, and I wanted to get involved, and we set up these lobby visits. And I talked to Chuck Schumer's office, and I also talked to Gillibrand's office, and I also talked to my representative's office, and it was great. And it was really great to get involved. So that is how I met Chelsea. She's a wonderful human and does such a great job with Sierra Club and mobilizing thousands, like hundreds of thousands of people all over the country. Take it away, Chelsea. Tell us a little bit about Sierra Club and like what you're doing over there.
Yes, and I have to just brag about Ben for a second. So we were doing this Green New Deal mobilization, and if any of y'all are organizers on this call, you know that follow-up or report backs are one of the hardest things. You can getting people to sign up, okay, it's hard, but people sign up. Getting people to do the action, even harder, but like, people sign up for a reason, you can get there. Getting people to tell you what they did or to come back afterwards, even harder. And I'm sure this is true of Plastics Free July. You got so many signups, and then maybe some people do it, and then half of the people you have no idea if they did it or not because they didn't feel like telling you. Ben just sent me a selfie, an email selfie that was like, hey, I did the action. And I was like, oh my God, this person just sent me a picture of their action before I even asked, I think. And I was just thrilled, and I was like, all right, this guy's onto something. Like, let's get him plugged in. And next thing I knew, he was organizing 3 lobby visits around New York City, bringing in other Sierra Club people, then getting in with 350 Brooklyn. I saw some of you on here too. I've heard all about you from Ben, and now here we are. So I just need to brag a little bit too that it was really exciting to meet Ben in this way and to be here now.
That's so sweet, Chelsea. Thanks.
And all right, where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to take it away? What's my interview question to go
Your
from?
interview question. So let's just talk about where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, I actually have a plastic story I want to tell.
Okay.
It's a part of this.
Okay.
Okay. So I am currently at my parents' home in Riverside, Connecticut, which is where I grew up. I was born in Chelsea, New York, so I'll have to add that fun fact in there. That is where I'm in Chelsea. Fact. And in my high school is 3,000 people. I went to this, like, it's the only public high school in the town, so everyone goes there. It's like 3,000 people, and there were so many plastic water bottles. And I watched a documentary. I was a high school student, and I learned about, my first introduction to why plastics were bad, simplifying it. And I looked around me, and I saw 3,000 plus water bottles a day just left around this giant cafeteria. And so with my school club, we were Environmental Action Club, we decided to make some noise. So we would pick up all of the plastic bottles after school that were left on the tables and the chairs. We'd even go through the trash, and we did an art installation where we would pile up all of the plastic water bottles in the middle of the student center, and we would put just a piece of paper that says day 1. And we do for a whole week. So it's like day 1 plastic, day 2 plastic. And I didn't know what organizing was. I just was pissed off about this and saw a problem, and it seemed like a fun, creative idea. So many days after school, going through the trash, getting a few classmates to do it with me, we ended up getting in the local paper. And so there's this picture in the local paper with us and like a mountain of bottles. And it turns out like the CEO of Nestle, who owns Poland Spring, was like somehow somebody was in the town and saw the paper. And the story I was told was his wife was like, we have to do something about this. The students are calling out Poland Spring. And so they sent the director of sustainability. I've like never gone public about this. So here we are, X amount of years later. They sent the director of sustainability to my high school to come lobby us to focus on recycling. And so I love this story because I didn't know what, systemic issues or corporate lobbying was or any of this stuff. But all I knew was I was called into an office where our student activities director said, "Hey, someone wants to meet with you." And they let me meet with this lawyer from Nestle to try to get a meeting with a group to stop us from calling out Poland Spring and for
Wow.
flooding our school with these plastics. And so we had this meeting, and they were like, "Hey, listen, people have to drink water. What would you rather? Have people drink Coke?" Which, by the way, I have these fun zero waste earrings today.
Oh,
They're
cool.
Coke bottle caps. And we were like, "Huh, that's an interesting point. Like, okay, but this doesn't seem right." And so we talked about it, and we had to, and they're like, "We'll offer you posters to help with recycling. We'll give you internships." They were like trying to give us all these sweet deals. And we had to say no. And it was a big fight within the club. Some people wanted. They were like, "Hey, I could get an internship," and we ended up deciding like, no, we're not going to stop talking about this issue. And so we rejected them. We told them no. But we were able to get them to buy all of the plastic bottles that we had been collecting, they gave us the deposits. And then we bought water bottle refilling stations for the school. And so that was my first experience with activism. And since then, I went into the fossil fuel divestment movement and have been really, really going strong in climate activism, as we said now, for Green New Deal. But that was where I started. And so it's really exciting to hear and to even look back think about, like even then to high school students, we were up against the strategies of corporate lobbyists to try to keep us within the system, to not reject, to not stop it at the source, but instead keep using it, keep consuming it, and then recycle it. So that's a fun story about where I grew up.
That's your first time telling that story?
Well, like on Instagram Live.
No, that's what I mean. Like in school, I mean that's such a good story.
I've told it, yeah. So at Nestle, come at me. I don't care.
It's such a fantastic story, Chelsea, of how that journey goes, of noticing, of not knowing. I'm guessing like when you started collecting them, you didn't really know where that was going to take you, but it was not sitting right with you, and you were doing something, and you were doing something with other people, and then going on this journey of change. But at the end, I love that you actually found the solution that was a long-term sustainable solution. And what I also love about that story is that influenced 3,000 people. Like, you don't know, maybe that planted the seed for other people to make change. Maybe there were people that weren't part of your committee or your group, but they saw what you did. It planted a seed with them about plastics. It planted the seed with them about the broken system, and that's influenced them on their journey. But you never know what that might have done. So yeah, full kudos to you. That's a great story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So was this your first environmental awakening, or did it start somewhere else? How'd you get here?
Yeah. So I think for me, I always was really passionate about. I didn't think of the environment as separate. I can't think of a first environmental awakening. Similar to what Rebecca shared, I just, nature was what made me happy. Like, I don't know, it's where we live. So, but I think that was one of my first moments of realizing the harm that I was a part of towards the environment. And then I think I had sort of another awakening within the fossil fuel divestment movement, where for the first time in my life, people were telling me it also wasn't all on me. And we grow up, and at least I feel like I've grown up in this society where companies like Nestle are thrilled to make us feel bad if we don't recycle. They are thrilled to put the onus on the consumer, on the public for our consumption. And of course, as we talked about, that is important. For me, it's important to feel like I'm living in line with my values. But the guilt got really strong for me, especially as a youth activist, thinking everything I put in the trash is going into the ocean and creating climate change. And then when I learned about the fossil fuel divestment movement and climate organizing, I learned, hey, actually, industries and companies are producing way more waste than you, and they are doing it in way more messed up ways, and they are making tons of money off it, and they're thrilled that you just are in your own spiral of feeling guilty about what you're consuming. And to me, that was the second like movement wake up moment I had, where I thought, okay, it's like not I don't have to live in guilt because I live in a broken system, but I can take action to change that system. And so I think for me, and and I've moved through many different phases since then, but I'd say for me, my moments aren't like, oh, the environment is important. It's like, oh, I'm a part of the problem. Oh, you're not the only part of the problem. Actually, there are other people who are even bigger part of the problem, and you have the power to change them and to fight for that change. And so we'll see what keeps coming, but those are some of my moments.
So
Oh, great questions in there too.
did you find out about the divestment movement? Was that like right after high school, or when did you hear about that? And then
In
also
college, yeah.
about in college, and then Sierra Club. When did you start working at Sierra Club?
Yeah, let's get to Sierra Club.
Yeah,
So, because I see we're 3 minutes, so we end.
yeah.
So, would love to could go on forever about learning about direct action and organizing and all these amazing things that are part of this beautiful movement we're all in. But I see some people saying, "Hey, at Sierra Club," or that's not what they're saying. I'm going to tell you at Sierra Club. They're saying, "How do we hold them accountable? How do we stop them?" And just as Rebecca was sharing earlier about the importance of collective action, about how having one person do Plastic Free July might not have the same impact as having millions. I'm not even sure that millions of people doing Plastic Free July. The same is true for the change that we're calling for on a societal level. So, as Ben knows, having maybe before him and I met, he had called, maybe you had called or done a petition at one point, but you didn't really see an impact. But then when you started showing up in person to these offices with other activists, other people in your community, suddenly they were calling you. They were saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, remember they called you?"
Yeah, yeah, they're asking
and
me.
and suddenly they're calling you and they're saying, "Oh my God, what does the climate community think?" And one thing I want to say about this is that I bet a lot of people on this live right now or watching are going to say, "Well, my elected official is really horrible," or like, "My elected official is really great," and it's not. I want Organizing is not just about having one conversation and persuading someone. It's not even always about persuading someone. Organizing is about building a movement of people that are powerful in their numbers, in your strategy, in your skills, and what you're fighting for. That no matter what obstacle comes along, whether it's Nestle and you have the power to say no and to keep fighting them so they keep getting upset, or it's our Congress who's deciding how to spend trillions of dollars to reshape our society and invest in a new infrastructure. If we build a strong enough movement, we're able to meet all of these challenges as they come our way. And so, yes, it's about holding companies accountable. Yes, it's about holding our elected officials accountable. And also, it's about building a movement so you're not doing any of that alone. And that is the most important thing.
So, what is Sierra Club doing right now? Like, is there anything that people can plug into?
Yes, yes. So we just launched last night a really big organizing effort this summer. And this is maybe a little different for some folks who have been really in the plastics world, but it's so connected because Plastics Free July and all of the zero waste work is also about reshaping how we connect to our society and our environment. how we consume resources, the waste we produce. And that is something that we can also be thinking about on a national level in this country. Sorry, it's really a U.S. based opportunity, but there are other groups out there for everyone across the world, um, which is how do we want to shape the infrastructure of this country so that justice, climate, environment are at the center. If we are going to be investing trillions of dollars right now, which we are, in infrastructure, we have the opportunity and the mandate right now to make sure that infrastructure includes replacing 100% of lead pipes, a 100% transition to clean economy, fixing all of the polluted and orphan oil and gas wells across this country. These are all things on the table. They are very much in the realm of possibility. We just need to be fighting for them and calling for them, because we might not realize it because it's wonky, it's in the word infrastructure, but right now our government is debating how to lay the foundation for that Green New Deal we've been talking about, but they're not going to do it, and it's not going to look like how we want it to unless we do that collective action we've been talking about and call for it. So I can share some links. You go to sc.org/organize if you want to sign up to take action with us this August. Again, it's sc.org/organize. And you can also go to our webpage, sc.org/summer 2021, to read a little bit more. You'll be able to sign up, find events near you, come to our trainings. And this is a push that we're doing right now. And I would love to learn from all of you who are really, really deep in the zero waste. This is a space where I can learn too about how we can make sure the zero waste frame and all of these fights are also included in what we're asking for. So thank you, Speak Up for Wildlife,
Yeah,
for putting those
I
links
was going to
there.
say that. Thanks for putting that in there. Instagram, you can't tap the links. You can't tap it from the chat. You have to type it in. So you can type it in there. I'm also going to be posting about it. So just a real quick plug here is that follow everybody here on the thing. The way you do that is you go boop, touch that little thing, and then it'll say Reusable Solutions NYC, Plastic Free July, and also Sierra Club. Follow everybody, and I'm going to be posting about it, for the next few days. So if you guys want to get involved with that movement and help build, help be part of the the just transition to a clean economy. Got it.
It's building our new future. It's building the future that we want to see, and we have the opportunity to shape it right now.
I want to thank again to both of you guys for coming on the show tonight. It's been a real pleasure to talk to both of you. Once we get it, we have Rebecca Prince-Ruiz of Plastic Free July and Chelsea Watson of Sierra Club. Thanks again to our sponsors, which are Brooklyn Solar Works. They do solar installation in Brooklyn. So if you want to get solar on your apartment or your house, I don't know who has a house in Brooklyn, but anyway. They do flat roof solar, and it looks really cool. It's really awesome. Go visit their site. You can go to my link tree and check them out. Also check out Cup Zero, that does reusable cups for events in the northeast of the United States. If any of you guys are somewhere else in the world, start one. See if you can do it. It's not really hard. It's really just you got to get cups and then you got to wash them. That's more or less the deal. I know both of you. We only said 1 hour, so we're gonna wrap it up here. You can stick around if you want. If not, it's cool. I'm going to play one more song on the guitar. For
I
all the
have
people
to go.
that's still
I have
watching.
family in town. They might be
right.
watching. They're waiting for me.
Oh, thanks, Dave Hilla. Dave Hilla, they're on here, by the way. The people I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, thanks very much, Ben, and keep up your great work, and you too, Chelsea. It's been just lovely to get to know you and to have this chat. And I just want to can I give one quick New York shout out to Assemblywoman Michelle Salages, who's been doing Plastic Free July since I think 2012, and just saw the other day on Twitter that the New York State Assembly proud to proclaim July 2021 as Plastic Free July in the state of New York. So you're absolutely right, Chelsea. Those it's about going on that journey together and really getting our decision makers to reflect the wishes of the community for a more just and sustainable world.
Exactly. Thank you, Rebecca. It was so great meeting you. And Ben, I look forward to hearing
You
you play
too.
us out.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care, guys. This is a song about climate activism. thanks everyone for sticking around for the show. It's really great to have you guys here. I have these great guests on the show tonight. This is the end of the Plastic Free July edition. I might take next week off because I need a little bit of vacation, but we'll see. Anyway, the show goes on just about every week. It's called Zero Waste Wednesdays. Make sure to follow me and check it out. This song is called I Tried. Read every book he could get his hands on. Went to the streets and held a sign. Called up his local politicians. Man, they defend 99. He donates monthly to some causes. It's not much, it's all he can afford. He heads to the polls for elections, but he has his doubts that it'll change the world. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried, but did everything he could do. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried, and he hopes that you might too. This is the verse about the investment. He took his money out of the bank of evil, that's Chase, and put it where it might do some good. He's writing letters, signing petitions, making sure his voice is understood. He heads to the polls for elections. There's how much is all he can afford. Went to the polls for elections, but he has these doubts that it'll change the world. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried, and he did everything he could do. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried. Chelsea's Instagram is Sierra Club. What's that next verse? There are people that are out there saying climate change it ain't real. Fills them with rage and conviction, so we join the Green New Deal. There are people that are freedom to choose don't mean nothing. That's all gone up in flames. No, I gotta get the verse right. He hosted a town hall at the Commons. Organizing is the name of the game. Freedom to choose don't mean nothing when the world has all gone up in flames. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried, did everything he could do. Yeah, he tried, yeah, he tried, and he hopes that you might too. More guitar. At the end of his journey, he'll take stock of what occurred before, tallying up the good and the bad, even if he's the only one that's keeping score. He could throw in the towel, fight into what they're falsifying, turn the blind out to the truth. Yes, hell, I would rather die trying. Oh, he tried, he tried, did everything he could do. Oh, he tried, yeah, he tried, and he hopes that you might too. Thanks again, everyone, so much for coming out tonight. If you guys are just brand new here, you can press this little button here and follow Reusable Solutions for the next time. This thing happens every single week. And I think that's probably it for today. Am I missing anything? No, I think that's it. All right, good night, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.